Good day, students. So in this video, we are going to talk about wealth. So we're going to specifically talk about something called net worth, which from your vocabulary list, you should see is basically just a value of a person's wealth. So how much money they are worth based on how much they have in value and how much they have in expenses or loans and things like that. So the formula we use to calculate somebody's net worth is we take what is known as their assets and subtract what is known as their liabilities from their assets. So in your vocabulary page, there should be these things all kind of defined: net worth, assets, and liabilities. I'll kind of explain it as we go, but if you need a better definition, go back and refer to your vocabulary page. So when we're looking at what's called a net worth statement, you'll notice that it'll be in two categories. So your assets and your liabilities. So assets, again, are anything that is of value. So someone could have a car that is worth a certain amount, cash, meaning like in a checking account, or just like physical cash that you have, anything you have in a savings account, and then anything else that's kind of like nice, that's of value. So someone might have like a nice piece of jewelry or a couple pieces of jewelry. People have like watches and stuff sometimes that are worth like value. So anything that you have that, like, if you were to try to sell it for money, like it's actually worth like a good chunk of money. So that's someone's assets. Liabilities, on the other hand, are things that people owe. So an expense or a loan. So for example, people who have car loans or maybe student loans, that's a form of a liability. If you have any sort of balance on your credit card, that is a form of a liability. If you own a home, a lot of times when unless you buy your home outright, meaning like you pay, let's say you have a home that's worth like $200,000. If you pay $200,000, like when you buy the house, like, okay, you own your home. But a lot of time what people do is they take out what's called a mortgage. A mortgage is a specific loan that is specific for housing. So you can pay your house over time as you live in it. So if you have any sort of money on your mortgage, that is also a form of liability. So let's say this is someone's net worth statement, and we are trying to figure out what is their net worth, like how much money are they worth? What is their monetary value as a person? And a lot of times with like famous people and celebrities, like this is kind of how their net worth is found. So if you're like wondering, like, I wonder how much money Taylor Swift has, or I wonder how much money LeBron James has. You can look up what's called their net worth, and that tells you kind of based on their assets and liabilities, like how much money they are worth or that they have. So I put some examples of dollar amounts here. We're going to use those dollar amounts to find our total assets, total liabilities, and then our net worth. So if you haven't kind of copied a lot of this down as I've been speaking, now would be a good time to pause and kind of copy down what you see on the screen, so then we can calculate the net worth. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate what the total liabilities and the total assets are. Sometimes on a net worth statement, what they might do is they might put the total liabilities or the total assets, but they'll leave something blank, and you kind of have to figure out how much something is worth. So if they said like our total assets was $100,000, but they left the jewelry blank and we have all these other pieces, well, then we could add up these pieces and then subtract it from the total to figure out how much the jewelry is worth. So just bear in mind, they might ask you to find a piece on the net worth statement, not just like the totals. So if we're looking at our assets, we have a car that's worth $6,000, about $2,000 in cash, about $10,000 in savings, and about $900 in jewelry. So if I added these four numbers up, my total assets is going to be $18,965. And if I did the same thing with my liabilities, I added up my two loans, my credit card balance of $500, my mortgage payment that I still have left of $3,400. My total liabilities is going to be $18,100. So before we calculate net worth, let's take a look. Their assets and their liabilities are not too far off from each other. So that means that their net worth is not going to be that much, because what they owe and what they have a value is about the same. Now, if your liabilities is more than your assets, well, then you have a negative net worth. And in those situations is when, if you hear people who like file for bankruptcy and stuff, people who are approaching a negative net worth tend to file for what's called bankruptcy, which means that they can start getting help from the government to kind of refinance their life. Basically, companies do this too. If companies are losing out on money, they can file for what's called bankruptcy and kind of help refinance their life and stuff like that. So if we wanted to calculate this person's net worth, we are going to follow the formula. We're going to take the total assets minus the total liabilities. So underneath, I'm just going to kind of set up the problem. So we have 18,965 minus 18,100, which makes this person's net worth a grand spanking total of $865. So not a whole lot of money. Like if we went and Googled a celebrity's net worth right now, a lot of times it's in the millions. Like Elon Musk's net worth is like, I think 750 billion, maybe. I would have to double check that. Don't quote me on that. That could be totally wrong. But so this person only has a net worth of $865. But again, the main way we calculate this is taking the total assets and total liabilities and subtracting the liabilities from the assets. Again, you could also do it the other way. They might tell us the net worth and they tell us the liabilities, and we have to figure out the amount of total assets. Or maybe they'll say, hey, this is their total liabilities. This is a sum of the information. How much is their car loan? And you, again, have to kind of work backwards to figure out that amount. So for your practice questions today, we're going to kind of practice looking at components on a net worth statement. So we have two questions here. So the first one is, if someone has a net worth of $19,966 and total liabilities of $6,059, that's a 9, what are the total assets? So if you know the net worth and you know the liabilities, you can figure out the total assets based on the formula for net worth. And the second question is, what does it mean if someone has a negative net worth? So specifically when we're looking at the formula, what does that mean for the liabilities compared to the assets, or the assets compared to the liabilities? So what does it mean if somebody has a negative net worth? Like what's going on? So please feel free to check your answers with people in your class, your teacher, or the table of contents. And I will see you guys soon. Have a great day. Be smart with your money. Bye.